First of all, I want to thank all these people behind me and Barbara and I have been wanting to get everyone together, the ones who are really working. We've been working together for a long period of time. So we have a good group back here, and you're going to hear from them. When Barbara and I are making some brief comments, Bud Wright with the American Associated State Highway and Transportation Officials, Pete Ruane, Tom Trotter, Jennifer, I never do say that right. You do that. Good for you. Tom Foss, Don Schilling, Nick Ivanov, Robert Sells, and Sean Glennon. Just want to make a comment about this. It's not the biggest secret in Washington that Barbara Boxer and I don't agree on everything. And I want to tell you that we are of different philosophies, covering different areas, but we're together on this. And we're going to make this the joint effort. We've been successful doing this before when Democrats were a majority and Republicans were a majority, and it's going to happen. I don't think anyone has to ask the question or answer a question about why this thing is significant. I would say this: we're 7 weeks out from an expiration date of the extension. Senator Boxer and I are here to state that we're nearly done with drafting the bill. A lot was done during the recess, the 2 weeks that we had. The bill is now we're waiting because to come up with a specific time frame, we believe 5 or 6 year bill, something comparable to what we did the last good bill that we had, which was 2005. That we're going to have these details filled in as to what the cost is going to be. We have spent time just even today talking with Orrin Hatch and others, and I would just say this. I say this to my fellow conservatives. You know, a lot of times people, and I can remember a lot of them on the floor of the United States Senate, the last time we had a bill, demagoguing this thing, talking about the cost of the bill. Well, what they don't realize is, number one, the only alternative to a highway reauthorization bill is short-term extensions. That costs about 30% more. Clearly, ours is a conservative approach to it. And the second thing is, there's an old worn-out document everyone's forgotten about. It's called the Constitution. And that says what we're supposed to be doing here. We're supposed to be defending America and roads and highways. Barbara, what do you think?
Well, I do think you're right on the point. I do think we should do a few other things in addition, but I think you're absolutely right that what can unite liberals and conservatives is the need to keep this economy strong and moving, keep America moving. Now, I have to say, I think, because we've gone through this before, we're in another one of those SOS situations. We need everybody's help because there's so many issues on our plates, and we know that. But Jim and I know that this issue is so critical because it's key to making our country strong, keeping this economy going. It's key to, if you look at all the jobs down the chain, 3 million of them, sort of about 1.5 million direct and another 1.5 million indirect, and all the businesses that a lot of whom are standing behind us now. So we need to call attention. That's why Jim and I wanted to be here today with the good people behind us. These short-term extensions that we keep doing, as was pointed out, it's very, very costly. But worse than that, it's very disruptive. Because if you and I, Jim, we decided our families each wanted to buy a home, and Stu and I went down to get the mortgage, and you and your wonderful wife went down to get your mortgage, and they said, well, great, you have great credit, but we can only give you a mortgage for 6 months. You wouldn't buy the house. Our states are not going to build these projects until they have certainty, whether it's 3, 4, 5, or 6 years. So the Highway Trust Fund, let's be honest, needs to be fixed. And the trickiest part, and we know that, is how you fix it. There's a shortfall, and that shortfall needs to be closed. Now, I'm going to be completely open and honest. I will do almost anything to fill that trust fund, except cut other important programs to our people. That means I've already endorsed the Chamber of Commerce idea of an increase, modest though it may be, in the gas tax, and I've put forward lots of other ideas about doing away with the gas tax and replacing it with a tax at the oil well. But I have to be honest, we don't see a whole lot of folks jumping on these pay-fors. This week, I'm dropping a bill with Rand Paul which I hope will be the ticket, which is going to repatriate all those dollars that are sitting out there. Our companies are sitting out there because they don't want to pay the high tax at this point. So we think if we bring that money home, based on history, we'll have enough to fill the fund for quite a few years. And I'm hopeful that this approach of tax reform can bring us together and unite us. I don't know if it will, but I'm hopeful. You see how important this press conference is? We have all these fabulous motorcyclists and security, and they're protecting our right. But we had a little incident here before, but okay. So I'm going to turn it over to the next speaker. And what I would suggest is each speaker turn it over to the next one so we don't have to keep coming back and forth. Is that okay with you, Jim? So our first is Bud Wright, Executive Director, American Association of State Highway and Transportation Officials. Let's have a round of applause for Bud.
Okay, Bud.
Well, first of all, many thanks to Chairman Inhofe and Senator Boxer for their leadership in keeping this issue in front of their colleagues in the United States Senate and the entire Congress. As Senator Boxer said, I'm Bud Wright, the Executive Director of the American Association of State Highway and Transportation Officials, which represents the state departments of transportation across the United States. The time is now for Congress to act. This is not a fabricated crisis. States around the country are entering the prime construction and maintenance season without any certainty of when or how much support will flow from the federal program. This federal program is the foundation on which a national program is built, and on average accounts for almost half of the capital investment in this country on roads, bridges, and transit systems. Some states have already had no choice but to delay or even cancel projects that otherwise would have been completed this year, and many more will inevitably follow this spring and the weeks and months to come. States around the country are doing their part. Many have enacted or are considering revenue increases to support investment in critical transportation infrastructure investments. But the states cannot do it alone. Without a robust federal program with a predictable flow of funds, transportation investment in this country will decline. Important national priorities, which are the basis of a federal program, will go unmet. The American economy and the quality of life that Americans deserve and expect will suffer. We need to rescue the Highway Trust Fund by agreeing to a long-term sustainable source of revenue, and we need to do it now. The American public and our economy deserves nothing less. Now let me turn it over to Pete Ruane, the President and CEO of ARTBA.
Thanks, Bud. Chairman Inhofe, Senator Boxer, thank you for inviting us. First, let me say we're not responsible for the helicopter landing over there, but we are responsible for having a lot of folks here in town this week. You'll hear from the other vice chairman of the Transportation Construction Coalition in a moment, but we have some 600 representatives from some 45 states here visiting, and of course they're not here to see the cherry blossoms. They're here to tell the Congress, do your job. Do your bloody job. We're sitting here in the history of 32 extensions in the last 8 years, 5 revenue shortfalls. And some are saying, let's punt on first down. Let's have a long-term extension and declare victory. That's not victory. Senator Inhofe and Senator Boxer are going to lift us out of this purgatory of delay. They're going to lift us out of this purgatory of delay. Now, you may think it's trite, but I think it's very appropriate. One of our great presidents, the anniversary of his death, unfortunately, today. And we all like to quote him, but there's some things he said that are very apropos to the situation we're here to talk about. You cannot escape the responsibility of tomorrow by evading it today. You cannot escape the responsibility of tomorrow by evading it today. The Congress needs to act. We don't want reauthorization light. We don't want the employee discount version. We're here to get the Congress to do the right thing. Senators Inhofe and Boxer, thank you very much.
Thank you, Pete.
I'm sorry. Tom Trotter. Sorry about that, Tom. Get up here.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Pete. My name is Tom Trotter. I'm with the AFL-CIO, and good afternoon. I want to thank you all who came into town with the TCC fly-in today. I know you folks get it, and you know what's at stake and how important your work in town while you're here is. And you also know it's not only important for the construction and transportation industry, because every American has skin in this game, whether they commute to work, bike to work, take the, put their kids on a school bus, go get groceries at the store, or place orders online. They all rely on a strong and efficient transportation infrastructure system. The fact of the matter is, the ability to move people, goods, and services efficiently around our country and across our shores is the backbone of our economy. It's what makes America work. And for labor, passing a multi-year, sustainable, and robustly funded surface transportation bill is a top priority. And it's about creating and maintaining jobs, good jobs. These are good middle-class jobs. We've got to get people to work. It's about growing our economy. It's about maintaining our global competitiveness and improving the quality of lives of our citizens. Now, Chairman Inhofe and Ranking Member Boxer, I know you could easily pass an authorizing bill as you have before. But the fact of the matter is we need funding. And as the hand-wringing continues on how to fund the most basic of congressional duties, the cost of inaction rises. I'll just point out the cost of inaction is approaching $200 billion a year. $200 billion in time lost sitting in traffic, wasted on fuel and on vehicle repairs. $200 billion that gives us nothing. And that's only going to rise if we don't start acting and putting some money on the front end. So listen, we got 46 days. And that's plenty of time, believe it or not, for Congress to act. They tend to wait till it's the eve of, but we got time. So it's time for you all, while you're in town, to raise some hell. When you go to your members' offices, tell them it's time to find the funding. Tell them no more kicking the can down the road, no more extensions. Just tell them to get the job done so you can get your job done. Let's be the America that can, not the America that can't.
I appreciate the opportunity to be with you today representing the tens of thousands of men and women working in the construction distribution equipment business. When it comes to infrastructure, Washington, D.C. has failed the American people. It's difficult to put into words how frustrated AED members are with what is and isn't happening here in Washington. Watching from a distance, we're disappointed. There seems to be unlimited time for partisan bickering, but not enough time to get people to work. I know you, Chairman Inhofe, and Senator Boxer are rare exceptions, and you have worked extremely hard to keep your colleagues focused on fixing the Highway Trust Fund. I know MAP 21 was the best deal you could get to keep the program alive, but it's appalling to think it's been almost 6 years since the last true long-term highway bill expired. Congress's failure to provide semblance of certainty to road and bridge investment has real-world economic consequences. State transportation officials don't know how much they have to work with and which projects they're able to move forward with. That means road builders can't plan, can't hire, won't invest in new equipment. That hurts dealers, manufacturers, and people we employ. Highway programs create about $2.5 billion in demand for construction machinery each year and directly supports 4,000 equipment dealership jobs nationwide. All that economic activity and the livelihood of those 4,000 families is in jeopardy as Congress once again waits till the last minute to kick the can down the road. This can't go on. I have one message for your colleagues on both sides of the aisle. You were sent here to govern, so get to work. Put aside your partisan differences, roll up your sleeve, compromise, fix the Highway Trust Fund, and pass a fully funded long-term highway bill. The men and women of the construction industry are standing by to build the roads, bridges, transit systems of America that we desperately need to prosper in the 21st century. But Congress needs to do its job first so we can do ours. Thank you again to both of you for your outstanding leadership and the opportunity to be here today. Rest assured that AED and our members nationwide will keep the pressure on Congress until we get the job done. Thank you. I would like to introduce Nick Ivanhoff.
Yeah, that is a tricky one there. That would have been an interesting plant. Well, thank you very much, Chairman Inhofe and Senator Boxer, for bringing us together here and giving us an opportunity to tell Congress that we need to pass a multi-year, robust highway transportation bill. I'm told that Sir Isaac Newton once said that we build too many walls and not enough bridges. As an engineer whose company has built some of the most iconic landmark bridges in this country, that quote certainly applies to the U.S. surface transportation network. Unfortunately, it also applies and holds true for the current political climate here in Washington, D.C. Of all the issues before Congress today, very few have the potential to garner the broad-based support of both parties, at the same time dramatically improving the lives of American people, as does a new investment and a robust investment in our transportation network. For senators and representatives looking for a way to show that they can govern, this is it. But first, members of Congress need to break down the political walls that they have constructed around responsibly paying for the federal transportation investment. Then people like me and many of you here in the audience can get back to work, rebuilding this country, rebuilding the 61,000 deficient bridges, building new mass transit systems, and putting this country back to work. Thank you very much. I sure can. Next person is Robert Sells.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm Bob Sells, and I'm with Titan America, and I'm also here representing the National Ready Mix Concrete Association. Chairman Inhofe and Senator Boxer, thank you for this opportunity to be here with you today and talk about something that is extremely vital to our country and to our National Ready Mix Concrete Association. For those of you that are out there today, transportation is the lifeblood of our economy. Our roads, our bridges, our system of infrastructure carrying goods and services is in dire need of repairs. It needs to happen today. Our standard of living is around our infrastructure. Our standard of living is dependent upon our infrastructure. It is time to act now, and thank both of you for bringing this forward as a bipartisan issue. A long-term transportation bill is important to the industry, as some of my fellow speakers have already mentioned. It's about investment. It's about private investment. Private investment cannot occur without a long-term transportation bill. The risk is too great. So we need a long-term transportation bill for the private sector to be able to step up and help us rebuild our country's infrastructure. It's in serious needs of repair. Over the past 20 years, this transportation funding has not increased. The value of the dollar has decreased by 50%, and the cost of transportation has gone up by 200%. It is time for Congress and the Senate to act now, to act in a responsible way to put a long-term transportation bill in place so that this country can continue to grow and recover in this economic downturn. Thank you very much, Senator. At this time, I'd like to introduce Sean Glennon, President of Operations America, Volvo Construction.
Thank you. Chairman Inhofe, Ranking Member Boxer, thank you for having me here today. Volvo Construction is eager to see more of our wheel loaders, excavators, pavers, and compaction equipment hard at work, expanding and rebuilding the nation's infrastructure. For manufacturers like Volvo, transportation infrastructure enables the movement of goods within our economy. It is vital for day-to-day business and our long-term economic prosperity. Volvo Group manufacturing plants that make heavy-duty trucks in Virginia, engines in Maryland, and construction equipment just a few hours north in Pennsylvania are all hugely dependent upon a modern and functioning transportation network to keep our supply chain flowing, our production lines moving, and our more than 12,000 employees working consistently. Unfortunately, capital spending on highways, roads, and bridges fell 3.5% each year for the period between 2003 and 2012, as detailed in a recent NAM study entitled Catching Up. As manufacturers of construction equipment, our customers are the very companies that build roads and bridges and runways. Short-term funding extensions don't give them the confidence needed to reinvest in their business, stifling manufacturing growth throughout the country. A more sustained and focused effort is needed to help put our infrastructure on more solid and robust footing. We can and should do better. We have no choice, allowing our nation's infrastructure base to continue to erode. Manufacturers are counting on Congress to help facilitate commerce with a well-funded, multi-year service transportation authorization that secures the financial health of the Highway Trust Fund. This will go a long way to restore confidence for manufacturers like Volvo, our suppliers and customers, and most importantly, the hundreds of thousands of Americans working in the manufacturing industry today. Manufacturers are ready for a long-term bill and urge Congress to take the same approach. The time is now. It's a call to action. Thank you for having me be here today. Looks like I'm the last one.
Why had they missed you?
There's two that were missed.
Wait, we missed a couple of people.
Here
Jennifer Safavian. And I want to say who you are. Executive Vice President, Government Affairs, Retail Industry Leaders Association. And who else was left? And Tom. Would you introduce Tom when you're
sure
done?
will. Thank you, Senator. Thank you, Chairman Inhofe and Ranking Member Boxer, for the opportunity to speak today and for your continued commitment to passing a comprehensive long-term surface transportation reauthorization bill. I am Jennifer Safavian, Executive Vice President for the Retail Industry Leaders Association. RILA members are among the largest users of the global supply chain in America's transportation system. Their ability to successfully move products from factories to distribution centers and ultimately to stores depends upon access to efficient and reliable transportation systems. That is why passing a bill this year is of the utmost importance. In coming years, as the economy grows, freight volumes are expected to double. This added strain on our transportation system will create additional costs for shippers and greatly increase congestion. Congestion not only strains capacity and efficiency, but among many other things, it also offsets the sustainability practices retailers have instituted by increasing travel time and thus carbon output. RILA strongly urges Congress to pass a long-term surface transportation bill that facilitates the free flow of commerce and includes strategic investments in vital corridors and crucial connections in our system. Rebuilding our nation's infrastructure is critical for the future of our economy and for maintaining global competitiveness. We look forward to working with Chairman Inhofe and Ranking Member Boxer and Congress to accomplish these goals. Thank you. And Tom Foss?
Thank you, Senator, for inviting me here today. My name is Tom Foss. I'm a highway contractor out of Southern California. I'm pleased to be part of today's press conference to discuss the importance of transportation legislation to our country's economic future and certainly the economy in my state, California, as Senator Boxer has already pointed out. As a contractor, I can point out the importance of transportation investment to the construction industry. While I don't consider this to be a legislation, to be a jobs bill, in the sense that its purpose is to create jobs. However, I can tell you that the highly skilled workforce in this industry are men and women whose job it is to provide transportation infrastructure that meets the needs of our citizens. I also am not going to shy away from telling you that yes, this legislation does support jobs of the construction industry, and not only those jobs, there is a broad brush that includes this investment supports jobs in a lot of other industries. Besides the impact to the economy, of equal importance is that this is a quality of life issue. If you sit in traffic, or if you've had a car repair due to hitting a pothole or driving on a rough road, then you understand what I'm saying. Economically, investing in transportation makes sense. Most of our goods are moved on roads. The better the highway system, the lower the transportation costs, and therefore the lower cost of our commodities. We unfortunately are trying to improve a 2015 highway system with $1993. The gas tax has not been raised since 1993. The dollar in that period of time has dropped 40%, has lost 40% of its purchasing power just simply due to inflation. In that same period, vehicle miles traveled, that's highway usage, has increased 50% from 2 trillion miles a year to 3 trillion miles a year. That math doesn't work. Something needs to be done. Traditionally, the highway system has been funded by what's called user fees. Those that use the roads should pay for the roads. This is still the best method. If we defer payment, we are unfairly passing the cost on to our children and grandchildren, and that is not right. We are asking Congress to fund a long-term highway program today, not sometime in the future, today. Across the country, we're already seeing a slowdown in projects to bid because of the uncertainty that is caused by a lack of a long-term highway bill. This will affect the economy. It will drag the economy down. It will slow things down. The states and local agencies cannot plan, design, or construct projects without a secure funding source. The disruption that comes from on-again, off-again federal funding makes it difficult for me as a contractor to know how many workers to hire, what to train them for, and what investments in new equipment that I should make. AGC and the Transportation Construction Coalition behind me, our partners, we're here this week to make these points to our congressional delegations. We join in the call to our congressional leaders to find a way to pass a long-term funding solution. Investing in public transportation improvements is critical to our economy. Thank you. Thank you, Senator.
So Senator Inhofe had to go to an appointment and asked me to take over here. Not to take over the committee, but I'd love to do that in his absence. All in favor? No, just kidding. So here's the thing. Everybody behind me was so eloquent today. And I say that hearing a lot of speeches. Because you all just talked straight from the heart and you have facts to back you up. And that's the essence of a very good talk. And when you listen to them, the message comes over loud and clear. This cannot be a partisan issue. This has got to be an issue that brings us together. This is an issue of paramount importance to our economy, to our workers, to our businesses, and to drivers, and to consumers. That's why I love the fact that we had retail people here, because the cost, people don't realize this, the cost of everything that we use depends on how long it takes to get from one place to another. And in California, and my friend, you know this so well, we take in about 40% of the goods through our ports that are imported. Then they gotta go either by rail or truck, or they get shipped. And the conditions across the way, from one end of the country to the other, that's what we're talking about here. and the ability to move these goods has an absolute impact on the cost of those goods. And the fact that we have let this go so long, and we're almost there at the end of the road again, is a disgrace. I don't care whether you're a Democrat or you're a Republican or an independent. I don't care. It doesn't matter. This is not an issue of ideology. It's an issue of common sense economics. And we ought to know exactly what we heard here, that if we slip and fail here, our economy will slip backwards. It's so clear because there's really not too many parts of the economy where you could say it has such a reach, you know, when the federal government doesn't act and do our fair share. Now, the whole idea of the federal transportation system was really created by Dwight Eisenhower when I was just a wee bit of a girl. And, you know, he understood, because he's a military man, that logistics and movement of goods is so critical, whether it's wartime, whether it's peacetime. And the moment is here. I just want everyone to remember, as you go out to talk to your senators and your members of the House, don't take any excuses. Really don't. And one of them may be, well, we don't want to raise the gas tax. We're afraid it's going to hurt people. Here's the thing we do on the gas tax, and we've all agreed if we go that direction. If you're in the middle class, 50,000 or below, pick a number, you'll get that refunded to you. We think it's $30 a year. That's what it would cost more. So we can refund the increase of the gas tax to middle class families so that they don't get any type of sticker shock. And then if you say, well, what about the Rand Paul Barbara Boxer idea of repatriation? They'll say, well, we want to hold that and wait until we do tax reform. No, no, no. You can't wait to fix the bridges. There's 63,500 bridges that are structurally deficient. Take that number down. 63,500 bridges that are structurally deficient, and 50% of our roads are in less than good condition. There's 1.4 million fewer construction workers today as compared to '06. My friends know this. That equals 20% of all construction jobs. That is a lot of people that are not working still. And we're going to lose those skills, and we need those skills. And the last point was mentioned here, but I'll say it again. According to the Texas Transportation Institute, Americans spend 5.5 billion hours in traffic, 5.5 billion with a B, hours in traffic each year, and that costs families more than $120 billion in extra fuel and lost time. So you pay a few cents more, and you get the roads fixed, and you don't lose the money down the road sitting there waiting to get to work. So we have a compelling story. I'm just so thrilled you're all here because, you know, I need some wind at my back here, and so does Jim Inhofe. We need wind at our back because we're going to move forward, and we need every committee of jurisdiction, and there are several in the House and the Senate, to take up the bill. If your part is the Highway Trust Fund, like ours is in terms of how the formula is done, we have to take it up. And we're making great progress, and I anticipate we will be doing it shortly, according to Senator Inhofe today. If you deal with the issues of auto safety, Commerce Committee, take it up. If you deal with the issues of funding, that's Ways and Means over in the House, and Finance here in the Senate, take it up. Do your job. Somebody said it. Pete Roane, he said it. He said it in a really good way. I won't repeat it. He said, do your job. And that's the point. This is our job, not fighting over a woman's right to choose every 2 seconds. But I won't get into that. Oh, I just got into that. So anyway, here we are united across party lines, knowing, as Jim and I know, that we don't agree on everything, and that's okay. We can set that aside. We got work to do. And I hope when you get out there, you're going to tell the story even better than you thought, because you've heard so many good people. Now, I have some other people out in the audience. What did I do with this paper, David? Oh, my God. Where's the paper? Did I lose it? Before we go, because we have some other great people I wanted to recognize. It's in here. Of course, it will be the last page. Oh, God. Okay. Thank you, David. I told you he was great. Okay, so listen, we have the former governor of Kansas here, Bill Graves, who's president of the American Trucking Association. Will you wave your hand? Governor, come on up here. We want to take, no, we want to take a look at you. Don't be afraid. You're not running again. So if you're next to me, it's not going to hurt you. And then we also know out there is the American Public Transportation Association, APTA, and the American Society of Civil Engineers. What a great job you do giving us the facts we need. The American Traffic Safety Services Association, the American Highway Users Alliance. You're always such a wonderful part of our coalition. The International Union of Operating Engineers, showing that we have a great connection between business and labor. We are in this together. And don't take no for an answer. And when somebody says to you, you know, we'll just do a little short-term thing here, just say, you know what, it doesn't work for us. You know, it doesn't work for us. So let's get out there with that message. Now, I know there's